This is Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium.
Today's guest is Steve Gordon, MIA, and we also have Ray West from Spread Eagle. It's a pleasure to have you guys on.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I know I was referred by Muncie Reese to meet you guys, and it's been really a pleasure kind of looking into your backgrounds and seeing what you've done with your career. I know earlier Ray and I were talking, we were both at M3, and I was really blown away by your performance with Spread Eagle. You have a huge fan base. Everyone loves you, Ray. It's like pretty incredible. So that's a lot of fun. And you know, Steve, it's so interesting. I was reading about you. And the amount of collaboration that you've been able to do in your lifetime is just amazing. I mean, the list of artists from Frank Sinatra to, Bon Jovi and Bad Company, and just the list goes on and on and on. So it's very impressive.
Yes, all unexpected.
Yes, well, we could tell your story. Let's kind of roll into that because the fan base really likes to hear the early stories, like how you got into music or if your family was musical. So we'll start with Steve for this.
Well, I started out like a lot of people by seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. And I was sitting in the kitchen with my mother and my grandmother. And as soon as I saw the Beatles play I Want to Hold Your Hand, I kind of freaked out, and I looked at my mom and I go, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" And then I said, I want a guitar, I want a guitar." But actually, I wanted the drum set, so my father got me a drum set, and that was my beginning. And after I had the drum set for about 3 weeks, my mother looked at my father right in front of me and said, "I can't take it anymore. You got to get rid of the drums. It's too loud. It's killing me." So then I made my father get me a guitar. And I just started copying records, Led Zeppelin records and Jeff Beck and Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. And I ended up playing guitar because my mother wouldn't let me play the drums.
Wow, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, good. What neighborhood?
East Flatbush.
Okay.
I went to Tilden High School.
So, you know, that has come up in many of my interviews that a lot of moms are not fans of drums. That would have changed the trajectory of your career after seeing the number of artists that you played with.
I mean, a lot of that is ghosting. Ghosting is when you get called to play on somebody's record. I did a lot of that at the last second, like a record's about to come out, let's say on Rod Stewart or Phil Collins, and a record company executive would call me and go, "I need you to fly to Los Angeles. I'll put you up in a hotel tomorrow, and you got 3 songs to play on, and then we're putting the album out, and the artwork is done. Your name can't go on it, but I still get royalties for all the stuff that I did." I did a lot of last second, at the very spur of the moment, playing guitar, actually all around America.
So would that be considered a session player?
Yeah. I mean, I was a session player. It actually started out playing on a Bon Jovi record when they played at Farm Aid, and I got a call from Doc McGee. Doc had a house in Miami, and Doc was managing this producer, Barry Mraz. And Barry was producer of the first few Styx albums and Benny Mardones, the Ohio Players. So me and Barry were great friends. So John Bon Jovi wrote Heart of America for Farm Aid. So they did the show, and then the day after, they were scheduled to go into a real recording studio and record the song. So they did. About a week later, Doc McGee and Barry call me on the phone and go, "We need you." And I go, "You need me for what?" He goes, "I can't tell you till you get there. Go to International Sound in North Miami at 7 o'clock, bring a Marshall amp and a Les Paul guitar, and we'll tell you when you get there." So I set up my stuff. Doc wasn't there. Barry was there. I said, "Barry, what am I doing?" He goes, "You're playing on a Bon Jovi record." I go, "Why am I playing on a Bon Jovi record? Richie Sambora is great." And he goes, "I don't know what happened. I went there to record them, and Richie might have been tired, or we can't find them. We need you to do the guitar parts now and send them to us." So I did it, and that was the start of me ghosting on records. And I did it Phil Collins, I did Frank Sinatra, I did Celine Dion, Josh Groban, Dr. John.
That's what's cool about this, because I get to learn a lot about Stevie that I didn't even know. So it's fascinating to me.
Yes, well, I have to say, you know, to do that kind of work, especially the way Steve describes it, you really have to be on your A game because you don't know what song they're going to throw at you. Or,
Exactly.
you know, that's amazing. I mean, I'm sure,
I like not knowing. And every time I do a recording session, I just tell them, all right, roll the tape. Let me see what I can come up with. Because my thing is, I think I'm good at coming up with a part. The thing about making records and playing guitar is come up with a part. And I think that I'm pretty good at that. I'm not saying I'm great, but I have a knack for like, I think this is going to work. I think let's try this. So I'll come up with like 5, 6, 7 things. The producer will say, all right, I like that one. Let's keep that. All right, next, move on to the next section. Da, 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 da. And we do like maybe 2 or 3 songs, sometimes 1 song, sometimes 5 songs. And then we're done.
That's incredible, though. When you think back to being a young guitarist, one of the toughest instruments people talk about is guitar. You very often hear people saying, when they're learning guitar, can only play it sitting down. For them to get from the chair to a standing position is a huge feat in itself. Did you ever picture your life to kind of blow up the way you did, being involved with all of these people?
No, I personally think that it was all accidental and right place, right time. I met a few great, really good producers who took a liking to me, and like Criteria Recording Studios, where Eric Clapton recorded in Miami. A lot of the engineers and producers there would call me. They'd say, we need you to come in at midnight. We got a bunch of songs for you to play on. And I would end up playing on records, and I don't know who they were. And I find out years later, Phil Collins, this and that, and I mean, because most of the records that I play on, believe it or not, when I play on them, no one's singing. So I find out later, well, you played on a record that was Rod Stewart, like Rhythm of My Heart. I'm on that. Linda Ronstadt, somewhere out there. I never knew I played on that until I got royalty checks.
That is so much fun. One of the things I would have to say is it's a compliment to be offered to come back, but to be offered to come back and come back again, it's not just your playing, but it's most likely your personality. Because if someone is difficult, they don't get offered back. So you must have a brilliant personality.
I think I'm funny. Ray thinks I'm funny.
Steve's hilarious. I tell everybody he's got great energy.
That's
Yeah.
so great. Wow. Yeah. So you've been very lucky in your life.
Yeah.
That is really great.
I don't take any of this for granted. I do feel lucky.
Yes. I do believe that, especially in the music world, how many people know each other. But I also believe that when someone new is added to a project, you realize how big your world gets. It turns out that you may have been brought into something, but you may have also worked with someone else somewhere before. So your circle gets bigger, but also the projects you get on become bigger because of the people that you can connect them with.
Yeah.
So I find that really interesting.
Yes.
It is a very personality-driven business. If it's a very small business, if someone is being not cool, and how the word travels pretty quickly. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to jump in and get Ray's background. So, how did you enter this world of music as a young child, or how did you get involved?
Well, I happened to be working in a record store when I was a teenager, and the guys in the record store were older, and they had a band, and I guess they had needed a singer one day, so they just asked me for some whatever reason was, "Hey, can you sing?" And I had never sung a note before, but I instinctively said, "Yeah, why not?" So I wound up in a basement singing like Bad Company, some Foreigner songs. It was like Dirty White Boy, Double Vision, stuff like that. And I had this little knack for it. So I've been manipulating and fooling people ever since.
Wow. Well, you're not fooling us. I have heard you. You're incredible. Did you ever get involved with trying any instruments, Ray?
Oh, I think everybody, and Steve was saying this earlier, I think everybody wants to be a drummer when they start out. So I think I'd asked for drums for Christmas when I was a tot, and I wound up bashing them and making noise in the house. So what they did is that we took the drums to my grandmother's church, and they let me bang out the drums there, and that was
Amen.
and that was just I was ruining everything. It was not it was ungodly the way I was playing. I recall we had an incident with the drums. Apparently, whatever, I got bored of them. I went through the guitar phase. I went through every kind of musical phase. It winds up that I'm a more of a performing, dancing monkey than anything else. I'm more comfortable entertaining, and you know what I mean, and doing that kind of shtick than just being behind an instrument. But I do love to play acoustic guitar, and I play a lot on my own, and I write quite a bit.
So, when you mentioned your grandmother's church, did you ever do any singing in a church environment?
No, I was never any kind of like gospel choir or anything like that. It was always just rock and roll based in my life.
Because you
Um,
really have the range. When you listen to you, a lot of times people, when they kind of critique singing, they talk about the range, and you really have tremendous range.
oh, well, thank you. I think what's my main thing is tonality because I've never wanted to be even though I do enjoy a good scream as an accent to something, I've never been the guy that goes, wah, there's that kind of like Dungeons and Dragons kind of screaming, and there's the James Brown kind of screaming, and then there's just doing it to do an accent on something. So it takes a lot of emotional energy. When you feel it, you just go for it. It's a very natural thing for me. So if someone says I have range, when I was younger, when you're a kid, you can have a huge register. As you get older, you have to learn to work with what you got. So I've come a long way since then. And I think I've become a more comfortable with my tone and where I'm at in life. I've evolved into the singer that I am now. I've been through a lot of things, a lot of ups and downs with it. I've had some extreme. I have had some bad performances in front of people, and I said I was going to change my life and never do that again. So I'm still working at being the best singer I can be.
That I understand. What were the bands that you got involved in? Because I know you're with Spread Eagle, but I mean, what were the bands prior to that?
Oh, part of Spread was always like in baby bands and local bands. Like had a band when I was a kid called Defiance. We dressed like Angel all in white, when I wasn't wearing like zebra spandex and a leopard shirt, being foolish. But that was really, I was always into the hard rock thing. I love melody. I love hard rock. I was raised by Ozzy and Bon Scott and Robert Plant and all those guys. But I'm not a tall 6'5" blonde sexy singer. I'm just a little crazy guy. So I relate to that screamy crazy vocal.
Wow. Are you from the New York, New Jersey area, or are you Pennsylvania?
I was born in Brooklyn, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
another Brooklyn guy. So we have two Brooklyn guys on this show. Wow.
yeah. But I'm defective because I have no accent, and I was raised down in Florida for a while. So going back and forth, I don't talk like this, and I don't talk like this.
You can
It's just
talk
me.
like this if you want to talk
So,
like that.
so it's just this is how I am. I'm a
That's
mutt.
that's hilarious. Wow, that's great. So it's very interesting because when you got involved with Spread Eagle, tell me how that project came about.
I was living in Florida when a producer manager came down here. He was looking for a singer. I think he was just asking goofily if somebody knew someone. A guy named Kirk Kelsey. He was a great soundman down here. He went on to produce like Creed and bands like that. Anyway, he got my number. I met him at a bar down here. I brought him the tape that I was very proud of with my band Defiance, and he played me the tape of the band that he was looking for the singer for. And it was kind of like almost like a Guns N' Roses kind of vibe. And I was doing more like light Van Halen, Bon Jovi kind of stuff. He heard my tape and he was like, he just laughed. He laughed so hard, and it was such a humbling. He's like, "This is ridiculous. You need to come to New York." And I was put to like a New York rock and roll aggressive kind of school. Like I went up to the city. I was fun. I met this band called Fox Hunt. They were doing showcases for labels because they had some connections. And I sat in with them. We just started vibing out. And through that band, I met Paul DiBartolo, who had come from Boston, looking to be in a band. We got put together. So the Fox Hunt thing didn't work out. We were doing showcases. I met Paul, his manager, and my manager got together. We brought the rest of his guys from Boston. I sang on their demo. From that, we just got signed right out of a rehearsal. It was crazy how it happened. I feel like it was just very quick. I was given things way too fast. We got signed quickly. We were in the record plant very quick. We were on the road very quick and living on the bus, which changed everybody's life for the worse, I'm gonna say. But
How
it was a
long
lot of
is
forward
that?
moment.
How long ago was that, Ray?
Oh, when they invented fire. We got signed in 90 or maybe 89. So from signing with the label to the record plant, that had to be a matter of months. And we got signed with like 5 songs. So we had to write the rest of the record in the studio. And then the next thing I know, we were on the road. You're making a video, then you're on the road. It was all very quick. Within a year, we had done a lot of work and a lot of damage. We were out shooting, swinging for the fences pretty quickly.
Wow, I remember the early 90s. There was a huge change in music in the early 90s because of what happened with the grunge scene. So, what was the impact to Spread Eagle when that rolled around?
It's interesting because we had met Alice in Chains, and we seemed to click really well with them as far as getting along and sort of digging each other's music. But I heard Alice in Chains and I heard Soundgarden. To me, it was a huge fist because they had a lot of substance over style. Rock and roll had gotten to me, very silly. There was still a lot of the spandex thing and the hair metal thing going on. Spread was always a hard rock band. We got sort of lumped into some things because of the genre of the time that we got signed. But when I heard grunge bands like Alice in Chains, I knew that was the new coming of things because it was just such a great, honest thing. I think kids were tired of like hearing about parties and this and that, and they wanted real stuff. So it was a real shot in the arm for everybody. So I felt its impact right away. I knew it was going to be huge. Where we fit in, I didn't know because I thought Spread was always kind of a heavy band. So if we would have just stayed the course and stayed a heavy band, I believe we would have survived through it without no problem. But we did the best we could. I think we hung in there for like about till it's like 94, 95 or something. And then we called it a day with the label. We were actually going for a third album, a new, new label. But by that time, I decided I'd had enough of the business. I was very disillusioned with the whole thing.
So when did you bring Spread Eagle back around?
Early 2000s, me and Rob had kept in touch. And Rob at the time had done a lot of side work for you. He was in the UFO band. He was playing with Sebastian Bach and then doing those gigs. So he'd gotten a lot of connections. And so we decided to put it back together and just we got a new drummer, a new guitar player, and we just hit it hard, and we just decided to go to work. And that's how it is. You just have to have everybody committed and moving forward. It doesn't work unless everybody's committed. So we've been putting in a lot of work.
Yes, well, it shows since I've seen you, so that's really incredible. How did the two of you meet, Steve and Ray, together? How did this connection happen?
Well, it's funny because I was what year was it? Feels like it was a long time ago. How long was it, Steve?
24 years ago.
So there's a great line of musicians down here that are under the radar, and usually do a lot of cover work and stuff like that. But there's some great original music down in South Florida. So I was asked to come down and work with a cat named Miguel Gonzalez. We call him, Miggy. And Miguel knew Steve. We just wrote a batch of songs, and we started working with Steve. When I first met Steve, he was producing what we were doing, and he was completely. I thought he had a serial killer energy vibe. I thought he was a psycho because he was so just like on fire. Like when you first meet Steve, and if it's in a musical environment, and he's just on fire. He's got great energy, you know. So he's like he'll just do anything. Is what I'm trying to say, and anything for the song, anything for the track, and he mixes louder than anybody I've ever heard mix in my life. And lo and behold, and he's a great guitar player. He's a great finesse guy, great melody guy. Gives you a lot of room to work, and he gives you a lot of freedom. So we had something together down there. We were doing some writing, and that's when I met Steve, and we decided just to keep working.
I'm so glad you mentioned his engineering piece because he's Grammy nominated as an engineer. So the idea of mixing and doing all of that is in his wheelhouse. It's incredible.
And let me just add, and he's very soft spoken about the whole thing. Steve doesn't walk around, I did this, I did that. He's very cool about that. Until you're in conversation, and then you just get it all out. But he's got a lot of great credits. And the credit to him, he's got both feet on the ground. You know what I mean? Like he's still driven and he's very hungry and he's a good guy.
Thank you, Ray.
Yes, well, it's very exciting to hear about your collaboration. I've previewed the songs. I wanted to bring up Broken as the first one. Can you tell me a little bit about Broken before we play it?
I love the hard rock genre, but I think if you're a singer, you should be able to do more than one color of things. I think like this kind of music, I like it heavier. I like it even more melodic. I like things groovier. And anytime I can stretch and do something a little different and work in a different color, that's why I love this kind of music. And I'm able to write lyrically. A lot of my lyrics are personal and I bring to the table, but I don't try to cipher them for people. I think you should hear it and make it your own. That's what it's about. But as far as a song, it's very personal in its lyrical content and what it means to me. So I love the music, and Steve's a big part of that. So,
Steve, what was your take with collaborating on Broken?
It was exciting. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done with Ray. When we finished that, the hairs on my arms were standing up. Certain parts of that song where the part where I got my gun and like how the guitar sound going down and the track just had like it's on fire. That's the only way I could explain it.
it's a form of therapy, right? This song it's a form of therapy. I think we got it out of our system.
Yeah. If you listen to that song, there's a lot of bands out now that, in my opinion, kind of sound the same. I don't think Broken sounds like anybody. I can't explain why, but our drummer, he's using. There's no drum samples on that song. I'm a mixer, so I can tell you today everybody uses drum samples. They replace the kick drum, they replace the snare. Everybody pretty much uses the same sounds. So I think the song has a unique sound, and it doesn't sound like anything. And plus the energy, I just love it. After I mixed it, I was in heaven. Like when I mix songs, like that's my drug too. Because I'm mixing in a room alone, and like Ray says, I have it pretty loud. It's kind of like my drug. My mother said, "Thank God for music. You don't do drugs, but the music is my drug." So when I mixed that song, I was high as a kite because it's like it just. I said, "Damn, this thing is great."
Yeah, the guitar sound on this song I haven't heard anything like it. But I'm biased. I love this song. The way it's mixed, the guitar sound, even the vocal approach. There's a lot of I call it slap and tickle. There's stuff that's very soft, and then there's stuff that's very hard and harsh. But I think it's done very well.
In the background, there's also you hear these little industrial noises like stuff that like you go, where's that coming from? And I think that adds a lot to it too. So it's not just instruments. There's other things in there that are like little candy in there. I love it.
When you mentioned that sound, Steve, when I played it several times this week, and I noticed that sound. It sounds like you're in a street environment. So I don't know if that's what you were going for, but it has a little bit of that feel.
Actually, when I found those sounds to put on that record, I didn't search for anything that really sounded street. I sounded for stuff that I thought was like strange, like almost like it could be in the street, like industrial, like it could be the sound of like a garbage truck in New York or something, or something like that. And if you notice, the sounds go from one speaker to the next. Like if you're wearing headphones, you'll hear it go like. Oh. So I just wanted to make it strange under the music, but not take away from, the drums, guitar, and the bass and Ray singing.
I think it's great, though, because I think I had myself in a street because of the lyrics with the gun and all of that. So I felt very outdoor when I was listening to it.
Ray is on fire on that track, totally on fire.
The song should make you feel like that. It should make you feel like you're out in the environment. A very dark environment, mind you, but it should take you somewhere. So that's a great thing.
Yes,
this song, I believe that I've loved this song for a long time, and it's been close to the belt for a long time. So it's great that it's just getting a chance to be out and heard. That's what I love about what's happening here.
Wow. Well, we're gonna play it now.
Breathe, you kill my heart. I try to leave, you kill my mind. I don't wanna die for you no more. Naked and cold, left on this floor. You made me feel so confused. I need to liberate from you now. To liberate from you. 'Cause I'm not gonna die. Not for you again. Now to liberate from you. I'm not gonna die, not for you again. Yeah, you left me broken, like some junkie man. Yeah, you left me broken, with this gun in my hand. And I don't wanna feel anymore. You leave me cold. not for you again. 'Cause you left me broken, like some junkie man. No, I'm not gonna die, not for you again. Yeah, you left me broken, like some junkie man. Now I got my gun. Now I got my gun. I got my gun. Now I got my gun. Now I got the gun. Now I got the gun. Now I got the gun. I got my gun. I got my gun.
The next song I wanted to bring up was Pharaoh Lives.
Lives.
Lives. Pharaoh Lives.
Okay.
Feral Lives is cool though too. That'd be neat. Feral
Right,
Lives.
right. That's happened before.
Pharaoh Lives. All right. So, where did this song come about from? It's truly instrumental. When I was listening to it, I had text Muncie and I said, "This song's 100% instrumental." He texts back immediately, "Yes, it is." He must be a fan of it because he was like, "Yes, it is." He got back to me right away. I just wanted to make sure that I got the right copy, but it's phenomenal. It really is.
Well, thank you, thank you. Well, where that came from is I'm a big fan of like the Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, a guy named Tony McAlpine, and guys that are shredders, but play nice melodies. And I'm a guitar player, so when I was young, I wanted to see Jimmy Page ripping. I wanted to see Jimi Hendrix soloing. I wanted to see Jeff Beck soloing. So when Satriani and Vai came out, I liked that. So I have my own studio in my house. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna make some of these tracks. So I made a few tracks. I made about 7 or 8 tracks that are instrumental. About 8 months ago, I woke up and all these were done already. Like I did these like a few years ago, like maybe 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and they were put away, mixed, done. I thought radio ready. And I woke up and I said, we're in a different music business now. You could put your own stuff out. And I never really was thinking about that, because I was so busy working and mixing and playing sessions and mixing country records, mixing black records. And then all of a sudden I said, wait a minute, I have some of my own guitar stuff. Why don't I pick one of these and put it out? So what I did was, they have CD Baby. So I put it on CD Baby, and in the CD Baby network, you can actually promote yourself. If you pick the right outlets in there, they have what they call curators. They have journalists, they have record radio stations, they have colleges, they have managers. So actually I picked a lot of journalists. So I spent about $850 in one lump, and I sent it out and I promoted myself. So what happened was, I wasn't expecting any of this. So what happened was, I sent it to a lot of places in Europe. So they started doing write-ups on me, and all of a sudden I'm seeing write-ups. Steve Gordon MIA, like new guitar god. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, what is going on here? Catherine, I did this for fun. I didn't do it. I wasn't on a mission to get any recognition. I wasn't trying to get a record deal. I did it totally just for fun. I put it out, like if a friend of mine said, "Hey, you got anything that you've done I could hear?" "Yeah, I got something on Spotify. Go to Steve Gordon MIA. You can hear something." So I've been writing these articles, and it went viral in Europe. 3 days after I put it out, I entered Germany's instrumental rock charts with Metallica at number 1. I entered at number 8 with Pharaoh Lives.
That is awesome. That is an incredible story.
It gets better. The same night, at 7:30 at night, I get an email. I entered Bad Wolf Records instrumental chart in Los Angeles, the hard rock instrumental chart. I entered number 1. I entered at number 1. And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on here? This is crazy. I'm doing this for fun. So I said to myself, I should take advantage of this. So after I accumulated about 25 articles, these write-ups on me, they looked like they were from Rolling Stone magazine. It was like articles about Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, but my name. And I'm reading it. I'm going, is this real? So I researched and I said, I got to find the top 5, 6, 7 radio promotion. That's how I met Munzi. I sent a letter. I sent Pharaoh Lives, that one track, and a typed letter saying, my name is Steve Gordon, MIA. And I sent about 23 to 25 articles on me that looked like they were written about Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, but it was about me. And I'm thinking, like, you try to get a record deal, no one's going to call you back. No one's going to answer you. I'm driving to go get something to eat one afternoon, 10 days after I sent the letters out. Already after a week, I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to hear anything. My phone rings in my car, and the guy goes, can I speak to Steve Gordon? And I go, who's this? This is Munzi.
That sounds like him.
No, but Catherine, I didn't know who Munzi was. I sent it to Skateboard. So I go, Munzi, who are you? He goes, dude.
That's him.
He goes, dude, you sent me your music. And I go, wow. So, I mean, are you calling me because you like it? He goes, yeah, I like it. And I go, wow, you like it? He goes, yeah. He goes, you want to do something? I go, of course. I said, you're going to get me on the radio? He goes, do you know who I am? So I said, what's your history? And he told me his history with Polygram Records, like president of the hard rock metal division for like 35 years. And I'm going, oh, God, yeah, I want to do something with you. So I hooked up with Munzi. And remember, I was instrumental. So he says to me, he goes, do you got any songs with vocals? And me and Ray had this project. We started a band called Magnificent Beasts. It kind of came to a little halt because Ray got busy with the Spread Eagle. We needed Ray to sing a few more songs, but Ray already sang like 3 or 4 songs, and We Go to War, which was my favorite out of them so far. I already mixed it and I liked it. And when Munzi said, do you got any songs with vocals? And I go, well, why? He goes, I do promotion with Steve Vai and Joe Satriani. And he goes, have you noticed that all of their albums have at least, there's instrumental, but there's at least 3 songs or 4 songs with vocals. And I said, well, why is that? He goes, they have a farther reach. You'll get further in the metal rock world with songs that have vocals. You can do very well with instrumentals like they did, but the difference between like a Metallica and a Steve Vai is big, even though they both do well. And he was telling me even financially, there's a gigantic gap of like what one act makes compared to another. And he goes, do you got anything? So I said, the bell clicked in my head and I go, wait a minute, We Go to War. Yes. I said, I got a song. I'm going to send it to you. Call me back after you hear it. Now, this is the first day I met Munzi. Munzi calls me back and he goes, dude. He goes, I love this. He goes, who's the singer? I go, it's Ray West from Spread Eagle. Ray? I've known Ray for 20, 30 years.
6 degrees of Muncie.
Exactly.
So I said, you want to put this out? He goes, yes. I'm going to put this out with Pharaoh Lives at the same time. I'm going to call it the Pharaoh Sampler. And I'm going to do the same thing with you that I did with Satriani and Vai. Going to play both songs on rock radio at different times, but they're both in like the same folder. Both going out as, Steve Gordon MIA featuring Ray West, Pharaoh Lives, We Go to War featuring Ray West. That's how this started for me. It started with Pharaoh. Munzi said, you need to do stuff with songs. And if Munzi would have never said that, I would still be all instrumental and I wouldn't be doing this thing with Ray. But I remembered that I had that and I got another 5 or 6 songs with Ray.
Wow.
So
that's incredible. So just when we talk about Pharaoh Lives,
okay, what else do you want to know?
well, we're going to play it now.
Okay.
But give the audience like a few clues to what you feel about it. Because you gave us a few clues on Broken, like what to listen for.
Well, I approach the instrumentals like a song. Like there's a hook. The song starts out with the hook. And then my verse is basically solos. It goes back to the hook, which is my chorus. And then it goes to a second solo, which is to me a second verse. And then it goes to a second chorus, which is the hook. And then it goes to a different section, which is kind of like a bridge, which is different chord changes and different melody. And I also have an electric violin in there. A lot of people said that sounds like it's a synthesizer. And it's not. It's a real girl a real human playing an electric violin. And they said, well, why does it sound so strange? Because I made it sound strange. And the reason that I made it sound strange is because when the girl recorded it for me, I thought that the recording wasn't great. So I said, you know what? I'm going to mess this sound up a little bit and make it a little quirky. So when people hear it, they're going to go, what is that? And I think it worked.
Okay, so we're going to listen for that quirky sound now. So now we want to bring up the other song that you had mentioned, Steve. We Go to War. So tell me more about that one.
Well, Ray can add on to this. That's when we started our band with me, Miguel. Miguel's the bass player. Miguel was the bass player in Bad Company with Brian Howe. So Miguel introduced me to Ray, and we got a drummer named Tommy McWilliams, who's also a great producer in the rock realm. Tommy was also the drummer for John Cicada. And Tommy's was in the Gloria Estefan camp of songwriting. He wrote songs for Shakira. He wrote songs with Gloria Estefan. He wrote songs for Jennifer Lopez, a lot of Latin artists, but he's a diehard rocker. So we got together and We Go to War. I came up with a track and I gave it to Ray and I gave it to Tommy and they did the words. I had nothing to do with the words. Like I actually programmed drums first, but after that, Tommy played real drums. Miguel played real bass, and everything that you're hearing on that record is real players. But when I first came up with like the chord changes and the track, I programmed some drums. So Ray and everybody can get an idea of what it is. When I heard the finished, like what they did, it's amazing because even though you're coming up with chord changes, I can't imagine why is somebody coming up with that melody, and I love that melody. Like I would never think of it. The melody that Ray came up with and the words were just fabulous.
Well, I think the thing about Tommy McWilliams and I decided to sit. I did something I rarely do, which is disciplined writing, which means you go every day, you go to a space and you sit, and you hammer it out. And I didn't think that was going to work for me, to be honest with you. But Tommy is a great guy to play off of, and he's just very creative. And going back to Latin music and him in rock and roll, Latin music is extremely percussive and all rhythm driven. So Tommy's just has a great sense of rhythm, melody, and the kind of guy when you're thinking of a lyric and a phrase, he kind of already knows where you're going. So he's a great communicator, and he was great for me to bounce lyrical ideas off of and melodies as well, which made it easy to write. I couldn't believe how easy this stuff came out, So we did some melody ideas. He had me try some things that I wasn't even thinking of, you know what I mean, outside the box. So it was just easy. It's different. It's a very melodic piece. The lyrics are a bit deep, and again, a big theme with me in life is love and hate. They're always at war. And they're always in the same place and they're always occupying the same space, battling with each other, So I just got lucky that me and Tommy put some really cool pieces together, that this music just called for it. It all happened naturally. Even though I didn't want to just sit in a room and write, that's what we did and it worked. So that's what I do now. You learn as you go, right?
Well, I have to say, after listening to it, it was really powerful. I know Steve said this earlier on, that he felt that this We Go to War is one of his favorites, and I would have to agree. I like all of them, but there's something about the power of this song that feels different. And I think it brings out emotion to the listener. And that's like a huge compliment.
Oh, thank you. That's great. That's cool to hear. Me vocally, it's not too much seasoning on the vocal. We did a lead, we doubled it. Tommy did some harmony work that's really beautiful. So that made it for me. So it's a great melodic piece. We released it first. And I was kind of like, releasing a mellow song first, but it's not really mellow. It's a powerful piece, so I'm cool with all of it. And I'm very proud of it.
Wow, it's great.
And the guitar solo is ridiculous on that song. For guitar players, it's awesome.
That is so great. So we're going to play We Go to War now.
Confidence, it kill for fun. Even though the time isn't on our side, you and I, we go to war every single time. When love and hate collide, no one gets out of here alive. You and I, we go to war, kill the love inside. Can you save me from our killing machine? There's no surrender when love turns into a murder scene. I keep on marching, keeping my head down low. You keep on trying to grind me down to the marrow.
How do you feel after the collaboration of getting these songs done through the two of you together, working with the other musicians? Do you feel that your life has changed in any way?
Creatively, it's added something to my life that I didn't have before, which was another creative outlet besides spread. So when you meet certain people, some people you just can't write with. Sometimes it's forced. Luckily, Steve is a great cat. Tommy, Miguel, it's easy to write together. So when we need more songs, I'm sure we'll have them easy as pie. But the good thing is it's a great writing collaboration, and that's something I've always craved.
Yes, it's so important. What about you, Steve? How has this collaboration impacted your life?
Well, it's unbelievable because I never expected any of where I'm at now. Like right now, Broken is number 34 on the metal charts. When Pharaoh Lives came out, it entered at number 8 in Germany with Metallica at number 1, Testament number 2, Slayer number 3, Megadeth number 4, Steve Gordon, MIA number 8. I did it for fun. I wasn't on a mission. I was so busy making records with other people, mixing Morgan Wallen, mixing Regina Bell, playing guitar on a Rod Stewart record. I didn't expect anything. So I don't take it for granted. I hope it does well. I like that people like it. I'm surprised.
This is what we call a happy surprise in life. Some
Yeah,
some of the
I'm
best gifts
surprised.
given in life are the ones that are unexpected. So this is a
Totally,
perfect gift for all of you.
totally.
I want to take a chance to have you guys plug your social media or your platforms or how people can download and get this great music.
Yeah, you can hear it on any platform. The songs that me and Ray did, We Go to War, Steve Gordon MIA featuring Ray West, Broken, Steve Gordon MIA featuring Ray West, Pharaoh is Steve Gordon MIA, and you're going to hear more from me and Ray. You're going to hear more from me. You're going to hear more from Ray and Spread Eagle. Me and Ray like each other. We're great friends and we have fun. So I think there's an audience for everything, and I think there's an audience for us. Everybody out there, enjoy it.
Yes, well, I can't thank you both enough for being on tonight. I learned a lot about both of you individually, but more importantly, kind of the gems that you pulled out about the writing process, the collaboration with each other, but also the sound and how each one of your songs is different. And I really think that the audience is really going to be able to receive all of that. So I'm really excited for you both. And thank you both for being on tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you. Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you. You have been listening to Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium, Dream Central Station, LLC. My audio editor is Al Hemberger at the Loft Recording Studios in Bronxville, New York. This is WNEW 102.7 FM radio.